Hello, so here is our demo site, and what we are going to do today is make it so that someone can subscribe on our Shopify website. They can subscribe to our podcasts or our blogs and have that go into Zoho and have emails sent to those subscribers for every post, for every podcast or blog post we post in the future. We don't want to have to take the time and energy to send out an email to all of our subscribers, and so what I'm about to show you is a way to automate this. And so if you look at this page, if we scroll down, we have a podcast email sign up, right? And so I'm going to sign up for this. Going to click submit, and you can see you have been subscribed is shown here. I can close this out, and I also see here where the email subscribe has been removed, and we did that using Zoho PageSense. So the solution I'm about to show you uses Zoho Forms, Shopify website, CRM, PageSense, and Zoho Marketing Automation, formerly known as Zoho Marketing Hub. And so now that I just filled out this form, I will be dumped into the system, into CRM. CRM will sync with with Zoho Marketing Automation, and I will start getting emails when new podcasts or blogs are posted here. Now we're going to dive into the technical details on how to make this happen over the next little while. So let me show you what that email is going to look like. And if we look right here in the email that we receive, again, this is just a template, but we can really customize this. But the idea is people subscribe to our blogs or subscribe to our podcasts or anything that has an RSS feed, basically, and it will automatically notify them when we post new blog posts and new RSS feeds. Now, this is going to be a technical presentation, so let me bring up the technical diagram to give you an overhead of all the moving pieces. Alright, so here's all these Zoho components used to make this solution happen. Zoho Forms, Shopify, CRM, PageSense, Marketing Automation. And so the idea here is we create a Zoho form, we embed that on our Shopify website. When the Shopify website visitor submits that form, they are going to be redirected to a page and that page is going to be customized using PageSense. And as I mentioned, we will be showing a pop-up, and we will also be hiding the email subscription widget. So once the form is filled out, it'll get dumped into CRM, and the CRM will push that into Zoho Marketing Automation, where we're going to create workflows. We're going to add to add subscribers to a podcast subscriber list. We're going to use the advanced RSS campaign, the advanced email campaigns using the RSS component, and we're going to add our Shopify RSS to that campaign. We are going to use a pre-selected, or we're going to select one of, I guess, about 5 or 6 templates that Zoho Marketing Automation offers that will put in these placeholders for RSS attributes, such as putting the title of the RSS blog or podcast here, some dates, putting your content, putting read more buttons so they actually redirect it to your actual blog post, your actual content, And then we're going to use Zoho Marketing Automation to schedule an email to go out every day. And so if we whenever we post a new whenever we post a new blog post or a new podcast, the next day all of our podcast subscribers will get notified of that. And so let's jump right into some of the technical details. Or after I've shown you these technical components, let's jump into some specifics on how to configure each application. So we're going to start with Zoho Forms. So here we are at Zoho Forms. You can see we have this podcast email sign up. This is what it looks like. And if we want to actually go into edit, it's what it looks like on the back end. Now we do have these 3 fields that are being hidden: last name, lead source, and we have a custom field, Zoho Marketing Hub ready. But the only thing they're going to see is the email field. Now I'm showing you this. I think everyone probably knows how to create a Zoho form, but the trick here is if we just embed this form on our Shopify website, when it's submitted, it's just going to redirect them to a thank you page that just says, thank you for your submission, we have received it, or any kind of custom text that we want shown. But we don't want to do that. We want to redirect them to a custom page, and that custom page is going to be created dynamically using PageSense. So we're here on this Zoho form. We've built our form, and we're going to come in here to settings, acknowledgements and redirects, and we're going to choose redirect to, and you'll see this is the exact same URL of the page that has that sign up form, but we have this little bit after it: email_subscribe equals yes. And this is a variable that we've created that when present in this URL, PageSense is going to customize this page. And so again, I show you the redirect link and this data variable, because if you do not set this up, when the email sign up form is submitted, it will take you to a default thank you page. Alright, so we do save there. And we have our integration here. And just to show you, we have these feeding into CRM. We're not going to get into how to configure forms into CRM, but just note we do have that integrated into CRM here. And I just showed you the Zoho form sign up, how to create a form that will be in Shopify, and how to set up the redirect. And so now let's move on to PageSense. And so here we are in our PageSense instance, and we've scrolled down to personalize because we want to personalize this web page. Now we're going to create new personalization. We're going to call this hide email widget, show pop-up. Create. Here we're going to do URL contains, and this is where we put in the value that we added to Zoho Forms here, which is this part. Now this can be anything that you want. It could be 1, 2, 3 equals yes. It could be email equals yes. It could be just email. This could be anything that you want, but the idea is when selecting the text that goes here, you need to make sure that this text is never used on any other page, so that when this text is used in the URL, it will do the customization that we're about to create here in PageSense. And so I am going to take our test landing page. Next, let's see. And here we are going to simply scroll down here to the bottom, new visitors, returning visitors, direct visitors, just so we can create our target audience that will encompass everyone, right? You're either going to be a new user or a returning user, so we don't have to worry about these preset segments. Selecting new visitors and returning visitors will present this customization in PageSense to everyone that visits this page. So now we're going to choose next. Now it's going to show us this page, right? This is the page that we were looking at. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to hide this podcast sign up form because they've just filled it out and there's no need to show this to them again. So we are going to select this and we're going to choose remove. We're going to select this, remove. And so we're just going to remove all these components that we don't want users or visitors to see after they submit that button, right? Okay, so great. So we have that set up. Now anyone that comes to this page after filling out that form will see this page, which again we removed the email component there. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And I'm going to click done. I'm going to click next. And it's going to say, what is the goal? So I'm going to choose add new goal. We're going to say elements clicked. So I'm going to say right. Pages to track. We're just going to track it on this one page. It's going to say, okay, well, what do you want to track here? And so we're going to click elements below. We gave it this link. We're going to choose load now. So now it's going to load our web page, right? And so now we're going to scroll down and over to the submit button. So we're going to select submit. You can see how it put elements to track here. And so we're going to close element selector. Next. Oh, sorry. Save here since it's a new one. And you can see it down here. Email subscribe clicked. It's a green box, so this is the one that we're using. And next. And so this is kind of a summary of what we're going to be doing. So when a page exists with this data in the URL, it's going to hide the email and throw this pop-up. And so this is a goal, and so we're just saying that something has been done on our website, right? A goal has been completed. In this instance, it's anyone from these audience targets, new visitors, direct visitors, returning visitors, that complete this, that click on this subscribe now button, they will have completed this goal. So we're going to choose launch. And as you can see, there's no data here yet, and so we will jump back over to our PageSense dashboard. And so you can see the new one that we created right here. And so now we're going to come here, we're going to choose pop-ups. So let's choose pop-ups. We're going to choose new pop-up. Say subscribe successful. I'm going to put in our URL. Our URL of the page, create. Now let's just go ahead and create a pop-up. So we're going to select pop-up here. We're just going to choose, let's choose blank template. And this one, as you can see, doesn't have, and this one does not have any form fields to fill out. So we'll choose this one. Choose, and we'll choose this. And let's go ahead and just give it a picture. And we can change this to contains, make it even smaller. This you could play around with, but let's come down here to type your heading, and we're going to put you have been subscribed, and we're actually just going to remove this button because we just want them to see this pop up. So we are going to choose next, and this is where you do the audience. Select the audience of who should see this pop up. We're going to leave this at all visitors. Next. And you're going to set target pages. So we're going to select URL contains. We have that little bit of code. It's going to be on page entry until the visitor completes the pop-up. Next. So this is a preview. So whenever somebody comes to this page, right, we have the personalization feature that's going to be hiding the email subscription form. And now we have this pop-up that's going to be displayed when the URL contains this, and it's going to pop up for all visitors and only desktop devices. And we're just going to choose launch there. No data here, that's because it's brand new. So let's go back to the PageSense dashboard. Alright, so now we're here back at the main site. Now let's go ahead and test this. Right. So here's our sign up form. You can see up here in the URL there is no code. And so let's do put in our email address. Now when we click submit, we're expecting for this part to be hidden and that pop-up to be shown. So submit. You have been subscribed. So this is our pop-up. Again, you can take time and create it all neat, do anything you want with it, display any message you want. So we're going to close this out, and then if we scroll down here, you can see that since we told PageSense to customize the page, and by customizing, removing that, that's what it's done. Alright, so now let's go back to our design. So what have we done here? We've set up our Zoho Forms. We did the redirect. We embedded a form in our Shopify web page. We set the redirect to include that little code snippet, email subscribed equals yes. We just went into PageSense and we created a custom page that hides the email widget whenever the web page contains that email subscribed equals yes. And we've also told it to throw a pop-up whenever a page contains email subscribed equals yes. And so since our Zoho Forms are integrated into our CRM, you can see here once the form is complete, it comes over here and it gets put into our CRM. Now we have our CRM is set up to synchronize with Zoho Marketing Automation. And so when this lead comes into CRM, it will get created into Zoho Marketing Automation. And so now we are going to walk you through this part here in Marketing Automation software. Okay, so here in Zoho Marketing Automation, I've gone into our managed lists, and I've gone into ZMH Ready Leads. So this is synchronized with the list from our CRM. So let's just say that it's all of our leads that are marketing qualified and that we're going to be doing things with. So we have it so that when a user fills out that form, one of the things that was here on this hidden form in Form Builder was lead source podcast subscription. And so what we are going to do is make it so that when somebody comes from CRM into a list here in Marketing Hub, we're going to create a workflow. I'm going to do new workflow. We're going to say instant, and we're going to say podcast subscriber list placement. And so here I choose lead origin, and in my Zoho Marketing Hub mapping with CRM, instead of choosing lead source, I've chosen lead origin. That's because you actually cannot sync lead source to lead source. You have to create a new field in Marketing Automation, and I call it lead origin, and I sync it there. So we'll do lead source is I think a lead source is podcast subscription. So whenever somebody that's being synced to this list, whenever their lead origin, which is lead source, is podcast subscription, we're going to come down here and we're going to choose add leads to a list. And it's going to say, what list do you want to add them to? We are going to add them to our podcast notifications. And we are going to choose activate now. And so this is our workflow. So when we look at our chart here, we have our leads from the form going into CRM, and CRM coming to Marketing Hub. We just created a workflow that will add the new subscribers to a list called podcast subscribers here in Marketing Hub. And so now it's time to create our email campaigns. So we are going to click on engagements. We're going to click on email campaigns. We're going to click on new up here in the top right. We're going to choose advanced campaigns. And here we are going to choose RSS. And so we need to figure out what is our RSS feed or blog URL. Now each CMS, whether you have WordPress or Shopify, it's going to be different, but we are using Shopify, so we are going to go to the actual blog page and we're going to put in .atom. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I'm going to pages here. We need to go to the blog post. So we'll put in our blog post URL and then we'll put .atom, enter. And this is the computer jargon, the code jargon that we're looking for. So we are going to copy this feed URL. We're going to come back to Marketing Hub. We are going to Control V. We're going to post this RSS feed in here. We're going to say once a day at 10 a.m. Central, we want you to send this email if there's a new one, right? And so here's the default name, default subject. Since ours is not post, it's podcast, so I'm just going to put in podcast, change this to podcast, and we're going to change this to, so now we have our name and our subject. Next. Now, which one do we want to use? We are going to choose pre-designed template. And you can see here, these are probably templates that you have not seen before because they are related directly to RSS. So let's choose this one. You can see title, date, description. All of these are placeholders that reference pieces of this long file. So see publish date, it's picking that up. See name, it's picking that up. You know, so you can see this is kind of the content of the blog or podcast. And so basically it goes through that file and it fills out these placeholders. And so I'm going to close this one. Now let's look at, say, this one. Here's this another template. Of course you can adjust all these colors and everything, but the idea is once you set this up, it will function on its own. You will not have to send out emails for every new post that you make. And so we're just going to choose this one, select template. And so here's the template. It gives us an opportunity to add anything we want. We could add our logo here in the top, but let's just go ahead and keep the defaults and choose next. And I'm going to choose add pre-header and say we have a new podcast ready for you, and it's a good one. So that's our pre-header. This is our message. Now, we're just going to leave this with no header or footer because it is including our organization address here. We have all of our unsubscribe and everything there, so it actually is using a footer. So we're going to do preview and test. And if you have a if you've created a new post before you have this template done, you can choose update feeds and it'll pull in your latest post. And so I'm going to close out of this and just say next because it looks good. Now for our podcast, we're going to select our podcast notification list. That's where we want this sent to. Next. And so when we select send campaign immediately, when we choose start RSS, That means that starting with our next post, so if tomorrow I post a new podcast or a new blog at 10:01 a.m., it will not go out to everyone because the email is sent at 10 a.m. Now, if I do the post at 9:55 a.m., then when this sends out at 10 a.m., it will pick it up and it will send out that new notification. Now, it doesn't send out 5 of your latest podcasts or blog posts. It sends out the latest one. And so that's why I select this to send every day, because if somebody subscribes on Wednesday and you put out a new post on Thursday, you want that Wednesday subscriber to get an update on Friday, right? That you have a new blog post or podcast. So we're going to choose Start RSS and Save and Exit. Now when we come back to our diagram here, again, we've added them to the podcast list. We set up an engagement with the type of email campaign, advanced email campaign, with the RSS and RSS advanced campaign. We added our Shopify RSS feed URL. We selected an email template. We didn't make much changes, but to each his own. I'll leave that up to you to make any changes that you'd like. And we are ready to send this podcast. So if this is set now, so if we do a new podcast right now at 4:30 in the afternoon, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., everyone that's in our podcast subscribe list is going to get this templated notification of our new blog and our new podcast. They'll be sent that email. And so that's basically what I wanted to show you in this webinar. So just to run through this again, you have a Zoho sign up form that's embedded onto your Shopify website. Someone fills out that form. They are then redirected to a page that we've customized with a pop-up and removed text and different components from that web page. We then know that when the form is submitted, it gets dumped in here to Zoho CRM. Those leads will get pushed to Zoho Marketing Automation. We've created our workflow that adds leads with the podcast subscription lead source. We add those to this subscriber list, and we've created our campaign. We've added our Shopify. We've selected a template, so this will always send out every time we have a new podcast or blog post. And so I hope this was useful to you. I hope that you gained a little bit of insights to how PageSense works. We're going to be doing some more webinars on PageSense because I feel that it's a powerful and underutilized component of Zoho's marketing tech stack, and so we will be doing some future webinars on this technology specifically. But hopefully, with you seeing these different moving parts, how they come together to create a solution, you can do this for your own organization. Feel free to contact us if you need assistance. And I wish everyone a happy Zoho designing experience. Enjoy your day. Thanks for attending the webinar.